Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. My name is Laurent Valasek, and I'm Executive Director of the Center for Wellness and Achievement in Education. We're a local 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to supporting schools and school districts and public health agencies. I'm also CEO of Peak Leadership, a management consultancy that supports CEOs and executive teams in optimizing their performance. Previously, I worked 25 years in the high-tech industry as an entrepreneur and a CEO, and I've come to my current social entrepreneur work after seeing an opportunity that I thought could address some very intractable problems in mental health. The central question that we grapple with at our nonprofit is, how can we have a deep systemic impact on mental health problems? And our current working hypothesis is that it's important to institutionalize programs in schools that effectively address the problem of stress and trauma and enhance healthy brain development. As an introduction to our work, we're going to see a video recently played on NBC News.
Kids off to school each day so their minds can be filled with knowledge, but clearing the mind, that's the practice one school district is preaching. It's taking time out of the school day for meditation. And by looking inward, these students are finding outward success. The story tonight from NBC's Cynthia McFadden.
At first glance, Visitation Valley School in San Francisco looks like an ordinary, chaotic middle school. But twice a day, something out of the ordinary happens that has changed everything. It is the sound of silence. 8 years ago, in the heart of one of the city's poorest and most violent neighborhoods, the school was spiraling out of control.
There'd be fights here 3 to 5 times a week. The kids see guns on a daily basis. They see all sorts of weaponry. They have that baggage with them.
Desperate, the district tried a pioneering program called Quiet Time.
Ignore the sounds you hear outside, upstairs, in the hallway.
The idea, give them 2 15-minute periods a day to close their eyes and let go of the stresses in their lives. So did you buy into this at the beginning, or were you a little like, hold it a minute, meditation?
I thought it was a joke. I thought, this is hippie stuff that didn't work in the 70s, so how's it going to work now?
Make sure you switch. Good.
But 4 years later, some startling results made the skeptical coach a true believer.
Good job.
A 79% decrease in suspensions, an increase in attendance to 98%, and a clear rise in academic performance. More than 1,500 students and 170 staffers have now been trained to meditate in 4 of the district's schools, including Burton High, once known as Fight School. This is Burton High today, where meditation has replaced mayhem. There are people who are going to say, hold it a second. You're taking a precious half an hour out of the school day.
You know, I actually was in the same boat, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to steal time from English instruction or math instruction in order to do that.
Instead, he agreed to extend the school day. And now the results are as dramatic as in the middle school. A 75% reduction in suspensions and a move from the bottom of California's academic ladder to the upper middle rungs. School officials say that's because students now feel safe, relaxed, and ready to learn.
It makes you more conscious of your actions.
It brings you down to that calmness.
Before Tobias started meditating, he says he was an angry kid.
I always want to fight everybody for some reason.
You remember?
Yeah.
You see a change in him?
Yeah, tremendously compared to from the 6th grade to now.
You can't change the violence and the stress that happens outside these walls.
I cannot, but I can help our students find ways to deal with the violence, the trauma, and the stress of everyday life.
Tools they can use with their eyes closed. Cynthia McFadden, NBC News, San Francisco.
So over the last 9 years, we've taught 9,000 students, teachers, and administrators in the San Francisco Unified School District a meditation called Transcendental Meditation. And we've conducted 17 studies with the San Francisco Unified School District and also independent collaborators. And what the research studies have shown in this extensive pilot is that it is reducing anxiety, it's reducing stress, it's reducing depression, and it's increasing resilience, self-esteem, and levels of well-being and contentment. And a question arises, however. How is it possible that sitting quietly with your eyes closed doing nothing can have this kind of impact? So I want to just briefly show you a few slides on what happens to the brain. There are certain forms of meditation that facilitate a process called transcending. And what that means is taking the mind and the body into a deep state of rest where the mind actually disengages from being in a very active state and experiences a deep, quiet inner calm. And in our schools, we run a class called Meditation in the Brain, and we actually bring in an EEG machine, and we show the students what happens to their brain when they meditate. Here's a picture of the students helping set it up. And we connect two sensors to the prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain that's responsible for synthesis, planning, and higher level thought, and two sensors to the back part of the brain that connect to the visual cortex. And here is a snapshot of what the students see. They actually see live brain waves. And at the top and the bottom signal are the front part of the brain. The two middle signals, the green and the red, are the visual cortex in the back. And these signals are pretty fast brain waves. They're dominated by what are called beta waves. And when a neuroscientist looks at this, you know that this person is awake and that their eyes are open. The next slide is eyes closed. And we would expect to see a change in the middle two signals. So see if you can see a shift from this slide to the next. You see that? So now when we close our eyes, the visual cortex goes into a restfully alert state. And those signals in the middle now are much slower. You see a lot of space between the rise and the fall of the waves. And that indicates that it's dominated more by an alpha frequency, which is associated with being restfully alert. The front part of the brain, the two top signals, though, stay in a beta state. They don't go into a settled state. The next slide is the experience of meditation and transcending. And here you see that the prefrontal cortex now, the thinking part of the brain, goes into a state that's dominated by alpha, a restfully alert state. And the whole brain now is moved into a very settled but alert, calm state. And the mechanism for transformation is that when students are able to experience this inner coherent state on a regular basis, then it starts to generalize. And we have a special guest tonight. One of our students from one of our high schools is here to share his personal story, and I'd like you to welcome Tony.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing tonight? All right. So my name is Tony Granberry. Again, I'm just going to give you guys a little insight on my life and experiences I've encountered through my life. And yeah, 17-year-old, Burton High School, about to get ready to graduate and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy. All right. Early on in my life, things were very difficult. I was abandoned by my mother. She decided to leave me and my family to pursue a life of drugs and street life. And I didn't really get to see her until my 8th grade year of middle school. And I was moving house to house all the time with my dad. And this was a hard time for me personally because me and my dad was working 2 jobs as a club bouncer and a muni driver here in San Francisco, and I didn't get that time to really spend quality time with my father, that father-son time that every young kid wanted, especially as an African-American kid. It's just that I wanted to go play ball with my dad, do all these fun things, and I didn't get to do that. And due to the fact that I was moving around a lot, I moved to a lot of different schools, and I was just this kid who didn't have a mom in his life who left him, and a dad who didn't spend time with him because he was always out doing other things. And not being able to spend time with my mom and not being able to spend time with my father, it really took a big toll on me. And that's when I started to do a lot of things that I really regret to this day. I started to have a lot of anger. I started to be depressed, and even when I started school, I was always getting into fights with my classmates, arguing with my teachers, throwing tables, throwing stuff like that, and it was just a real bad time, and it was to a point where I was sitting in my own kitchen, crying on the floor, thinking about taking my own life, and that was a real hard time for me, and I had to really make a decision for myself. And even though that has happened to me, even though I had to go through that, at that point, this is when things started to change. This is when the ball started rolling for me, and this is when I came to Burton High School, and this is when I was introduced to quiet time. When I first got to Burton High School, I came from a middle school who didn't meditate. Going to Burton High School where you had to meditate and sit down for 2 times out the day for 15 minutes and close your eyes, I really thought it was ridiculous, honestly. Thought it was ridiculous. But I had a good friend of mine named Lawrence who played on the football team with me my freshman year, and I saw how the quiet time program was affecting him. I saw he was more happy. He had a lot of control about himself. He was just a positive person, and I wanted that. I didn't want to be that kid that was always angry and had this rage in it. I wanted to be a positive kid just like him. And the thing that he was doing that I wasn't doing at the time, he was meditating. And that's what I did. I meditated. And once I started to meditate, I just became a whole different person. I had a lot of inner peace within me. I became more positive. I started to do a lot of things with my life that I never thought I would do to this day. And most importantly, I became my own self. I became a person who was empowered, who wanted to do a lot of things with his life, who had goals set for himself, something that I never thought I'd be able to do coming from a kid who used to get into fights all the time, argue with his teachers, and just be this angry kid. I never thought that I'd be able to do things like that. And I just like to say thank you to the Quiet Time staff, Lauren, Jamie, Lauren, all the people who are with the Quiet Time staff, because looking back to that shy, scared, angry kid who had a lot of rage in him, and then looking at me now, a powerful young man who's getting ready to go off to college and do something positive with his life and really change the world with his voice and do a lot of things that he wants to do. I would never be the person here standing before you right now if it wasn't for those people at the Quiet Time program at Burton High School. And so I thank you guys for listening to me.
So we're in a position where we can sort of move out of a proof of concept phase to a phase where we want to demonstrate this work on a larger scale. And we've worked with a lot of researchers in the field of education and mental health. And basically our next step is we want to replicate the findings that we've shown to date on a much larger scale with much more rigorous research, and then establish a reference model that can drive a paradigm shift in public health and in education so that this program can be integrated into schools as a standard practice. So we would love to invite you to help partner with us and support this effort, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening. Any questions for me or for Tony? Yes?
Can you just walk through the process of how you get the kids to meditate?
That's a good question. What a crazy idea. So the first step, Quiet Time is actually a mandatory program in the schools where all kids participate in Quiet Time. And then they have the opportunity to learn a structured form of meditation and learn how to transcend, and that's recommended to them. And they are given an introduction by a staff member, a teacher. And most of the kids actually opt to go through that training. And then if they don't want to do that, they can do another quiet, peaceful activity like sustained silent reading or their own form of meditation. And so the ones that choose to learn to meditate, they go through a simple structured training, and then they practice meditation in the Quiet Time class that's led by the teachers that are in the school. Did I answer your question?
So do you train the teachers to do this?
The teachers are trained to oversee the Quiet Time program. There are actually quiet time staff that are in the schools that help run the program. So we have 2 full-time staff, Laura is one of them that's here today, that support 1,100 students. So they each have a caseload of about 500 students, and they also support the teachers. So they train the teachers to meditate, and they each have a caseload of about 40 teachers that they support. So we have dedicated staff in the schools full-time that actually teach the meditation and then rotate through the school and support the 30 quiet time classes that are conducted morning and afternoon every day.
And also the students as well.
And then, well, explain that, Tony.
So I'm one of the I'm on the advanced meditators crew. So pretty much, Laura and Jamie, they get a group of kids together, and we help run quiet times throughout the school. So just having even though like you always see an adult in your class running a quiet time for you, just to have that kid that goes to your school to run quiet time and really have that connection with the students, I feel like you get a better response from the students because you're already out the day for 8 hours. You already have an adult talking to you, but then when you have it's all right, but you already have an adult talking to you, but to have a student, a kid close to your age to really tell you that this is really important, it can really help you, and it's a tool that you can carry on with, is something that's very important. So they also teach the students as well in the school, like seniors and juniors, to run quiet times through the school. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, there's about 30 students that help run the program.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You still live with your father?
Yes, I do live with my father. It's been better now. My dad recently got sick my first semester of high school going into senior year, but he's getting better, and it's just that just seeing him stay strong and seeing him do all the things to support me gives me the mindset that I can still go out and do anything that I want, because just seeing him strong and having that good positive role model there is great. So yeah.
What does he think of your meditation?
He thinks it's cool, actually. Me, I'm a pretty active person. I do a lot of stuff. I run programs, I play basketball, and he's seen how my improvement from my freshman year until now, and just talking to Laura about it earlier before we started this, just seeing my improvement, he loves it. I'm a more positive kid. I'm not arguing with him all the time because he hates that. But yeah, so he really loves it, yeah.